Among the top 30 Chinese game publishers going global, more than half have started urgently integrating third-party compliance solutions over the past 4 months. Over the past few years, the big topics at their meetings were user acquisition, genre selection, localization, and monetization. Compliance? It was at the bottom of the list, something to put off as long as possible. But now they're all rushing to get compliant. Why? Because someone got burned, and badly. Epic was hit with a $520 million fine, and a major domestic tech giant was also heavily penalized over child protection issues. What's even more alarming is that regulators have started sending formal notices directly to Apple and Google, requiring them to notify developers to rectify issues or face App Store removal. Last month, KID hosted an offline salon in Beijing, and they invited me to co-promote it. The event featured KID's co-founder, along with guests from Perfect World, FunPlus, Hologroup, and an overseas compliance expert from a leading social media platform. My biggest takeaway from the entire session, the tide for game going global, has completely turned. Hi everyone, I'm Roski. In today's video, I've distilled the most critical insights from that salon to tell you what's really happening in this industry and what you need to do about it. Right at the start of the event, Wang Ruosi, KID's China GM, said something that stuck with me. Over the past 4 months, our business has seen explosive growth. More than half of the top 30 Chinese publishers going global have already partnered with us, and that number is still climbing. This growth rate is highly unusual. Let's be real, when it comes to compliance, everyone used to drag their feet and cut corners. So why are the top players suddenly volunteering to get compliant? The answer is simple. Someone got burned, and it wasn't a small scratch. In the past 2 years, major players like Epic and top domestic companies have paid a heavy price for non-compliance regarding minors. Epic's settlement alone hit $520 million, with a staggering $245 million of that specifically for dark patterns and deceptive design. But what truly sent a chill down the industry's spine wasn't the fine itself, it was the ensuing long-term oversight and remediation obligations. After a penalty, a company may have to submit ongoing reports, undergo regulatory monitoring, and prove over many years that they've actually fixed their child protection systems. For global publishers, this is far more crippling than a one-time fine because it affects subsequent version updates, operational cadence, compliance overhead, and brand reputation. What's more, the platforms are now being dragged into it too. Timothy, KID's co-founder and chief legal officer, mentioned on site that many regulators are now sending direct letters to Apple and Google, asking them to notify developers to fix issues. If they don't comply within a certain time frame, the product could be delisted. For publishers, that's far more lethal than a financial penalty. For a long time, many teams operated in a grey area. They'd make games with cartoonish art but slap on a high age rating, deliberately skip age verification steps, and use "we didn't know" as their legal shield. There was an unspoken understanding. As long as there was no clear data proving minors were in the game, they could dodge strict compliance responsibilities, but the rules have fundamentally changed now. At the end of last year, the App Store and Google Play rolled out brand new age signal APIs, like the Apple Declared Age Range API, officially transmitting verified user age data back to developers. On the surface, it's a technical update. In essence, it changes the legal standard. Once your product connects to these age APIs and receives clear user age data, it legally constitutes actual knowledge. From that point on, the excuse "I didn't know there were minors using my product" no longer holds water. Timothy also shared an interesting piece of trivia on site. The ubiquitous 13-year-old threshold we see today comes from the US COPPA Act. But this number wasn't the result of precise research on digital products in the internet age. It was inherited from studies in the 1970s about whether children could understand advertising. That somewhat arbitrary age boundary ended up shaping internet product design for over 2 decades. But today's products are completely different. Games have gacha, loot boxes, chats, UGC, and in-app purchases. Social apps have stranger matching, live streaming, and algorithmic recommendations. AI products can chat, roleplay as partners, and offer emotional comfort. The old, crude rules just can't keep up with today's product landscapes. Timothy grouped overseas child protection into 5 core principles on site, and I think every single one deserves a close look from any global team. First, children's personal data cannot be casually collected, stored, or monetized. This isn't just about names and email addresses, it also includes voice data, biometrics, geolocation, behavioral data, and device identifiers. Amazon Alexa was fined $25 million by the FTC over child voice data issues, a classic cautionary tale. Second, dark patterns and deceptive design are becoming standalone violations. For example, making the agree button extra prominent, using colors, flow, or interface cues to nudge children into making purchases or accessing services they shouldn't. Previously, this might have been seen as merely unethical. Now, many markets treat it as a direct violation. Third, whether a feature is harmful to children. Loot boxes, gacha, and randomized reward mechanics are already under heavy scrutiny in multiple countries. Brazil now requires age verification for such mechanics, and Belgium has even elevated certain loot box sandbox issues to the level of criminal risk. Addictive design, endless scrolling, harmful content, and stranger exploitation all fall under regulatory watch as well. Fourth, you can no longer rely on a one-size-fits-all terms of service. In the past, many products simply wrote "not for use under 13" in their TOS and considered their duty done, but cases like Reddit have shown that merely stating it in the fine print without actually making an effective age determination is no longer enough. Fifth, age verification must be effective. Facial age estimation, credit cards, ID documents, passports, social security numbers, platform age signals, and reusable verification all could become compliance tools in different markets. The tricky part is which method is allowed in which country, in which scenario, and before which feature. That's precisely the hardest part of global compliance. The rules are incredibly fragmented. In my post-event interview, Timothy singled out 3 categories of products as the highest risk right now: games, social apps, and AI companions. Games are the most complex. Gacha, loot boxes, spending, stranger chat, UGC, violent content, borderline character designs, and targeted ads. Any of these can trigger regulatory action. Many studios assume that if they brand their product as not for kids, they're exempt from any child protection laws. But regulators don't just look at how you label it, they look at whether minors actually can access it. For example, if you use kid-favored KOLs in your marketing, or if there are actual underage users, or if minors participate in your forums, then child protection laws will apply to that game. Social apps are all about stranger interaction and content recommendation. Live streaming, DMs, video matching, voice chat, all can expose minors to unsuitable people or content. Zhang Yuji, CTO of Holler Group, shared that real-time audio-video social platforms generate massive volumes of matches every single day, and every match comes with a moderation burden. In the past, you could get away with users self-reporting as 18, but now, both platforms and regulators are demanding substantive real checks. AI companions are the new high-pressure zone. Deng Lishan, an overseas compliance expert from a top social media platform, pointed out that child protection is expanding from data and content into emotions and relationships. When AI becomes a friend, lover, family member, or emotional support companion, platforms must take on more responsibility. Does the AI clearly disclose it's not human? Does it allow minors to form intimate relationships? How does it respond when users express suicidal or self-harming thoughts? Should it contact guardians or provide crisis hotlines? The controversies around character AI overseas, California's companion AI bill, and China's related regulations on anthropomorphic companionship all show that this category has already entered the regulatory crosshairs. During the mid-session panel, the guests from Perfect World and FunPlus all touched on a real tension. Legal teams focus on risk, while product and ops teams care about conversion, retention, and revenue. Where you place the age verification gate makes a huge difference. Put it before registration, and new user acquisition might drop. Put it before high-risk features like gacha, chat, or live streaming, the user flow feels smoother, but the product implementation gets more complex. Stanley, head of product operations at FunPlus, pointed out that product and ops teams need to understand the why behind compliance, and then translate that into a design that users can accept and the business can actually run with. The legal guest from Perfect World emphasized that legal teams can't just recite regulations. Things like where your company is incorporated, how servers are deployed, how payments are integrated, whether data crosses borders, and how UGC is moderated, these are infrastructure level decisions that need to be figured out early. For individual products, legal doesn't necessarily need to sit in on every daily meeting from day one, but they must be involved at key milestones. Game mechanics design, monetization strategy, target markets, pre-launch testing, version updates, and end-of-service planning. This really reflects the reality for most studios. If you leave compliance as a post-launch patch, you run into 3 classic problems: engineering rework, user friction, and pushback from business teams. Especially for products that already have a large MAU base, suddenly adding age verification or restricting features will spike user churn and customer support tickets. After that salon, my biggest takeaway is this: starting in 2026, going global publishers are entering a phase of intensified compliance. In the past, competing globally was about product quality, user acquisition, genre choice, and monetization. Now you also have to compete on who can build risk controls into their systems earlier. Get compliance done early, it might just mean 1 extra workflow and 1 extra integration. Get it done late and it could mean emergency fixes, app store delisting, massive fines, media backlash, and long-term regulatory oversight. Games, AI, social apps, short dramas, interactive content, none of them can avoid this, especially child compliance, which has gone from a nice-to-have to a fundamental infrastructure requirement. Publishers used to be able to get on the bus first and buy the ticket later. In many markets going forward, they'll check your ticket before they let you on. The UK, Australia, Brazil, Indonesia, India, Turkey, and multiple US states are all pushing forward rules on age verification, parental consent, child data protection, and age-appropriate experiences. Apple and Google's Age Signal, AP-IS, are also rolling out. In the future, there's going to be less and less room for publishers to say, "I didn't know if my users were minors." This isn't fear-mongering, it's already happening. Among the top 30 Chinese game publishers going global, more than half have already started doing compliance. The other half? It's not that they don't want to, they're still watching, still hesitating, still calculating the costs, but the window is closing fast. Regulators won't wait for you to be ready, and the market won't give you a second chance. If you're already going global or planning to, here's my advice. Treat compliance as part of your product design, not a post-launch patch. It's not a cost, it's your ticket to surviving in the global market over the long haul. Alright, that's it for today. If you have any thoughts or questions about going global compliance, feel free to drop them in the comments. Let's discuss. I'm Roski, and I'll see you in the next one.